What is up, disc golfers? Today on Iceberg TV, we will be talking about Eagle McMahon. Unfortunately, he has still not recovered from the shoulder injury he suffered roughly 6.5 to 7 months ago when filming some content with Jomez. He did, if you are unfamiliar, it looks like he does a 360 forehand but with a backhand grip. He was just being silly, filming content, threw something very awkwardly, and subluxated his shoulder. I don't think we ever fully got to see, the full extent of Eagle's injury, but as far as everyone knows, he subluxed his shoulder and they were able to get it back in place, and he's been playing on and off since then, and he has not had the same forehand he used to have, and he's been dropping out of tournaments because the shoulder keeps coming out of place. And that's a very scary thing because the tendons and ligaments that hold that ball and socket together, once those tendons and ligaments get stretched out, that never quite fits back into the socket the same, typically without a large amount of muscle mass being added to that specific area of the body or surgery. So we have a couple of different options, and Eagle is doing plenty of different treatment options. He's been posting about some of the companies that have been helping him recover, but we still haven't seen the same player quite yet, and that injuries happened again 6 to 7 months ago. So if you guys haven't seen a clip of Eagle injuring himself, I did a video about this way back in the day, back when it originally happened, October 14th, and I think this was even a few days after it happened. So we'll take a quick look at the clip here just so you guys can see what that looked like. And see, he does like this 360 forehand but with a backhand grip. You can see he doesn't have his fingers in. He's doing like a 360 push of some kind, and this was enough. When people sublux their shoulder, the first thing they do is grab their wrist of the injured arm. You can see Eagle instantly, it's a way of comforting that joint because it's been injured, and that's the knee-jerk reaction to subluxating your shoulder. And that was kind of what I was saying I think happened back then, and it wound up being true, unfortunately. And Eagle hasn't been quite the same ever since. I want to show you guys one of my favorite Eagle McMahon forehands. This was probably one of the most impressive shots ever. So this is Eagle McMahon at the 2021 Great Lakes Open. I think this is one of the greatest forehands ever thrown, and if I was to make a greatest shots of all time list, I think this is a shot that Eagle can do that nobody else has ever been able to do. Nobody will even think to try a shot like this. This is a 430-foot standstill forehand straddling this guardrail. So Eagle throws the disc roughly 450 feet on a standstill, straddling that guardrail, and we have not seen that same forehand since the injury, unfortunately, and I would love to see Eagle fully rehabilitate and be able to put shots like this together again. Now, what I was mentioning before, this is kind of that ball and socket joint. The reason that this injury can be so problematic, from my understanding, is that this ball of the shoulder joint, the top of the humerus, is a lot larger than the socket that it actually sits in. So when it comes out, you can see this is kind of what it looks like when it comes out. It doesn't fit in this. If this socket was a lot bigger and this ball sat in there a lot more snug and a lot more comfortably, then these injuries probably wouldn't happen as often as they do. But once it starts coming out, all the tendons and ligaments that are holding this guy in place right here, they're all stretched out, and now you're prone to repeat subluxations, and that's what exactly Eagle is having. And the more it happens, the more it's going to continue happening. So for every time that subluxates and comes out of place, dislocates, whatever verbiage you want to use, the more likely it is to happen again. So it's like each time it happens, the problem gets a little bit worse, and you're exacerbating the damage on those tendons and ligaments. So every time Eagle's re-injured it, it's actually getting slightly worse, to my understanding. So I'm really hoping Eagle McMahon has a great treatment protocol in place, or eventually he's going to need surgery. Because although this was an amazing shot Eagle throws here, you can see Eagle's forehand is not the same form as it used to be. You can see the angle that he's throwing it. You can see the position of his elbow is very close to the body, and he's very much so protecting his body. He's protecting that shoulder, whether it be conscious or subconsciously. You can see the way Eagle is actually throwing this forehand. It's not the same form. It's like I know it's a shorter shot than a full throw. It's just, you can just tell it's a very shortened version of what he would normally do. Old Eagle probably would have disked down to a splice or a mutant or something really overstable and given it a much more powerful flick of the wrist. But it looks like in this case scenario, Eagle's throwing something like a DD3, just trying to flick it up there and get a nice skip. And although this was a really good shot, this isn't the same forehand technique that we've seen from Eagle in the past. So obviously it's not the same forehand. Fortunately for Eagle, health science and physical therapy and exercise science have come a very long way. People have fully recovered from far worse injuries. And my prediction for Eagle is that even if he needs surgery and he has to take some time off, like 6 to 8 months, or worst case scenario, a year, I actually think Eagle will be able to get his old forehand back. And even if he doesn't, Eagle's a talented enough player to be a backhand dominant player. And we've seen glimpses of that this year, where Eagle's basically being a backhand dominant player and still making lead cards. So there's nobody that can say that Eagle without his forehand isn't one of the best players in the world. Even Eagle McMahon, as a backhand dominant player that only throws chip forehands, that guy is still very scary to play against because his backhand is so good, his putting is so good, and on top of that, he'll have a great 350-foot chip forehand. I think with those tools, Eagle McMahon can still come out, win world championships, win major titles, and still be the best, and if one of the best, if not the best player in the world. But I would love to hear your comments in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on Eagle's injury? And I know there's a lot of people who disagree with the treatment plans, but you have a choice to decide what treatment plan is best for you. And I'm sure Eagle has a team of doctors helping him every step along the way. So give him some space. Don't criticize the methods he chooses. He's probably just trying to avoid surgery. But leave your comments in the comment section down below. You're watching Iceberg TV, and take care.